So that midnight hour thing was kicking around all the time. This there.
That's when my love comes tumbling down. I'm gonna wait till the midnight hour.
Wilson Pickett and Steve Cropper wrote In the Midnight Hour during Pickett's first night in town. The next morning, the record's success was assured when Wexler showed the musicians a new dance he'd seen up north.
There was a dance in New York that we didn't know anything about in Memphis called the jerk. And so when, if you remember that dance, so we was cutting in the midnight hour, and he came out and he said, well, can you put it in this jerk dance thing? That's how kind of how that delayed two came about.
Wexler he was unhappy about something. He said, hey baby, can you just put it here, baby? Can't put it here, baby. Hey, put it right, can't. I didn't know, what the hell is this man talking about?
Al and I just started kind of going with him and just kind of laying back, and I just started playing these backbeats, and it probably was one of the most influential sounds that we had, because we started cutting a lot of records after Midnight Hour hit with what we call a delayed backbeat.
That's when my love begins to shine. Just you and I. Oh, baby.
Pickett's gospel roots, paired with 1965's dance craze, landed Midnight Hour in the charts and paved the way for the even churchier sound of Otis Redding to cross over. Redding had been working as a chauffeur and occasional vocalist for other bands before he embarked on his own solo career.
Otis said he wanted to audition for the record company, and would I play for him? And I said, sure, I'll play for you. So we walked over to the organ, and he started singing These Arms of Mine, and I was just really moved by the way he sang it, and I was just mostly listening rather than playing. And I felt that I was involved in something good and something significant. And it was always the same with Otis. He always moved me when he sang.
Oh, she may be weary. Them young girls, they do get wearied wearing that same old shaggy dress. Yeah. But when she gets weary, try a little tenderness. Yeah. Oh, man. I know she's waiting, just anticipating a thing that she'll never possess. No. But while she's there waiting, try just a little bit of tenderness.
Otis Redding came in, and when he came in, it changed the lyrics and the way that he presented his version of his music, now he wanted it to go, which turned out to be not gravelly like mine and not rhythm and blues like the others. So that's how soul, I feel like, was slowly gotten into.
We sold out every place we went. We broke all attendance records. We didn't go into, at that time it was the stadiums, but we were playing those small venues, and we were packing them out because they had never, that gospel thing.
Do me a favor before I go. Do me a favor before I go. Do me a favor. Will you do me a favor? Yeah. Do me a favor. Yeah.
to get an audience that involved, to tell them to stand up, do me a favor and get up. At first, you saw the reluctant, like, they weren't really sure, you know, and this guy started with this thing, get up, get up. He's kept, it's like hypnotizing, you know, I'm chanting, get up, do me a favor, get up, get up. You know, we would just stand up there shaking and doing the holy, as they call it, the holy dance. You know, you slide it and shift your body all the way across the stage on one leg, all the way across, and that's something I got out of church.
I was apprehensive and very leery of exposing Otis Redding to the thousands of flower children. And here were the Jefferson Airplane. They looked like they were playing with 20-foot Marshall amps. And the Grateful Dead doing their long boogies. And here comes Booker T and the MGs. And they've got their little Sears Roebuck amps and this tiny sound.
So much. All right now.
Well, I don't think we really knew what to expect until we got there. And that was a bit of a shock treatment.
What was it? I mean, we're out there in our green mohair suits, you know, and we thought it was a job, you know, and then everybody's out there in these flowers, you know, the flowers around, you know, and all these flowered shirts. And I said, holy George, I said, the world's coming to an end.
You were tired.
What an incredible performance he gave that night. In the middle of the performance, the police chief came to me and he said, everyone was out of their seats, standing on the chairs. He said, I'm going to stop the show right now if they don't sit down immediately. So I went to Otis and, you know, in my white boy way, I said, Otis, you've got to let everybody stay in their chairs, be seated and behave and listen to the teacher because they got to stop the show. So Otis said, this is the love crowd, right? And he said, yeah. He said, well, if you love me, sit down. And they all sat down, went on with the show. There's no more problem.
This is the love crowd, right? We all love each other, don't we? Am I right? Let me hear you say yeah then. All right. I've been loving you just a little bit too long, and I don't want to stop now. No, and don't make me stop now. Oh, have mercy.
Playing the Monterey Festival had been a gamble for Otis Redding, one which no other soul act had been prepared to take, but one which paid off. His triumphant appearance suggested that he was about to attract an even wider following. Tragically, it was to be almost his last major performance. 6 months later, while traveling to a club date in Wisconsin, his plane crashed, killing all on board.
I love you. Good God Almighty, I love you. Mustang Sally. Guess you better slow your Mustang down.
125 miles southeast of Memphis, deep in the heart of the Bible Belt and a stronghold of the Ku Klux Klan, some other great soul songs were coming out of a studio in the backwater town of Muscle Shoals. Called Fame, the studio was run by a former country fiddle player.
It was tough. You got to remember, this was in the 60s. And this was when George Wallace was standing in the schoolhouse door at the University of Alabama. It's when the National Guard came to Arkansas. These are tough times, and they didn't, black people I had no problem with. If I had a problem with anybody, it was white people who didn't like me socializing or recording black music in Alabama with this all going on.
When I fell in love with a woman, down deep in his soul, she can bring him such misery.
Percy Sledge's When a Man Loves a Woman brought the sound of Muscle Shoals to the attention of Jerry Wexler, who once again was looking for a southern studio for his singers after falling out with Stax.
I gets off the plane, Southern Airlines, and here this long, tall white man, we call him Peckerwoods, you know, back in. He walks up like he'd known me for 500 years. Hey, Wilson, come on, we're gonna cut some funky records. Boy, we're gonna really cut some records. Come on, Wilson, come on. I said, wait, I'm nervous, you know what I mean? Now, what does white man know about producing a Wilson Pickett? Boy, I'm telling you, I'm gonna show you the studio. I'm gonna show you. Boy, we went through the cotton patch, people still picking cotton. Out there, I said, is that what I see what I think it is? Yeah, Wilson, they're still picking cotton down there. We still picking cotton. This studio was right over, you could see a studio from the cotton patch.
You know I feel all right.
And I have to tell you this, we cut Mustang Sally, all at funky Broadway, the land of 1,000 whole dances.
Nah. Come on, y'all, let's say it one more time. Long tall Sally.
These players in Muscle Shoals were all Caucasians. This seems to confound perceived wisdom and all the logic of the music professors and the commentators. How could authentic soul music and blues come out of a situation like this?
We get accused of being country fans. Now, I don't know, Spooner might have been into it a little bit, but I think David and I basically came from listening to Jimmy Reed and Bo Diddley and Chuck Berry.
That sort of thing, that was one form, and of course the Ray Charles on the other side, the rhythm and blues side, that was wonderful for me to hear. And then there was the Grand Ole Opry, you know. All those things were coming at me at once, so I took it all in.
In January 1967, the homespun studio band in Muscle Shoals aided in the birth of a superstar when Jerry Wexler brought down a Detroit artist he'd just signed to Atlantic.
I didn't know who Aretha was. The only thing I knew was that her father was the Reverend Franklin, who I listened to at WLAC in Nashville, coming home from gigs a lot of nights.
You are to reap. Yes. If you anticipate failure, believe me, you're gonna fail.
I knew it was his daughter, and she'd been a secret almost in the music business. She'd never had, I don't think, even a mediocre hit at the time with CBS. They didn't know what to do with her.
When you went and left me there crying, your goodbye was even colder than ice. It didn't bother you, I was crying, and now you wanna break my heart twice.
I was having what was called turntable hits. Turntable hits are records that get a lot of play, but they did not garner a lot of sales. We wanted